It was the hour before the gods awake. In ancient tradition, which describe the creation as done by some first emanations of the Supreme Mother, which there were four emanations, which in the sense and the feeling of their supreme power cut connection with their origin and became independent. And then these emanations being separated from their origin entered into darkness. The first one was the consciousness, and consciousness and light, and by cutting himself from his origin, he went down and down towards unconsciousness. The second was with bliss and turned into suffering. The third was with truth and turned into fortune. And the fourth was with life and turned into death. This was after they came down like that to the vital level. Then, when this was seen, it was decided that some second emanations would be made to repair the mistake of the first. And the second emanations were the gods. And then this first line refers to the condition of the world before the gods were born. He says it's the hour before the gods awake. Across the path of the divine event, the huge foreboding mind of night, alone in her unlit temple of eternity, lay stretched immobile upon silence marge, almost one felt opaque, impenetrable, is a somber symbol of her eyeless muse, the abyss of the unbodied infinite, a fathomless zero occupied the world. As a result of this separation between the first emanation and the Creator, the creation of this first emanation had become obscure, inconscient, and that is what he describes here. That is, he says, the divine event is the creation that will go on and on for eternity. And started by what he calls the night of a foreboding mind. Unconscious, immobile, lifeless, blind also. All these things of the obscurity and the unconsciousness, the immobility, lifelessness. The infinite, unbodied, fathomless zero. All these words are meant to express the nothingness of the a power of fallen, boundless self, awake between the first and the last nothingness, recalling the tenebrous womb from which it came, turned from the insoluble mystery of birth and the tardy process of mortality, and longed to reach its end in vacant north. this is to say that even in the darkest unconscious, there was something like the remembrance of the divine origin. And it had a tendency to wake up to existence. But all the habit of inconscient was so strong that it had a natural tendency to go back to nothingness. It is just what preceded the beginning of conscious creation in the world. We saw last time that this emanation of light and consciousness had separated from its origin and naturally fallen into inconscience. Result was that the world created was the world of unconsciousness, a world of nothingness, of obscure nothingness. But in spite of everything, the divine origin was inside that and had a tendency to bring up again a world of consciousness. And this is like the first attempt of this waking up in the nothingness of something that was a faint expression of consciousness, but recalling, as he says, the tenebrous room from which it came, it had a tendency of going back to unconsciousness. It is like the origin of death. As in a dark beginning of all things, a mute, featureless semblance of the unknown, repeating forever the unconscious act, prolonging forever the unseeing will, cradled the cosmic draws of ignorant force, whose most creative slumber kindles the suns and carries our lives in its somnolent world. For the sake of evolution and the ascension towards consciousness. Earth was formed, but it was formed naturally in the unconscious. And then he says, towards the vain, enormous trance of space, its formless stupor without mind or life, a shadow spinning through a soulless void, thrown back once more into unthinking dream, earth, wheeled, abandoned in the hollow gulf, forgetful of her spirit and her fate. That is, when Earth was created in the unconscious and the nothingness, in order to concentrate the effort and the working of evolution, that is the description of the beginning. That Earth began almost totally unconscious, as he says, forgetful of her spirit and her fate. That is the beginning. The impassive skies were neutral, empty, still. Then something in the inscrutable darkness stirred. A nameless movement, an unthought idea, insistent, dissatisfied, without a name, something that wished but knew not how to be, teased the inconscient to wake the ignorant. It's the description, a very, very wonderful description of the beginning of aspiration. How in the nothingness, the inconscient stirred the first movement of aspiration. There was no mind, so it didn't think. Even the vital was not organized, so it didn't know how to be. But it stirred slowly to wake up the inconscient towards something without knowing what it was. It is first vibration that preceded even form. The first beginning of aspiration towards the possibility of knowing. A wandering hand, a pale, enchanted light that glowed along a fading moment's brink, fixed with gold panel and a palisade hinge, a gate of dreams, ajar on mystery's verge. One lucent corner, windowing hidden scenes, forced the world's blind immensity to sight. It is the most poetic way of describing the waking up of the consciousness regarding the invisible thing, and why this waking up, what had created or given birth to this waking up. Then he says, the darkness failed and slipped like a falling clock from the reclining body of a god. A god had come down upon us to wake it up to the inner consciousness. Could say that it is the first avatar. Then, through the pallid rift that seemed at first hardly enough for a trickle from the sun, outpoured the revelation and the flame, the brief perpetual sign occurred above. It is that the coming down of the first avatar to wake up the earth to the consciousness, that is to bring an intensity of consciousness and of realization in this inconscious world. The revelation and the flame. The brief perpetual sign occurred above. That is the sign of the avatar coming down upon us. The brief perpetual sign occurred above. Here, where our half-lit ignorance skirts the gulfs on the dumb bosom of the ambiguous earth. Here, where one knows not even the step in front, and truth has her throne on the shadowy back of doubt. On this anguished and precarious field of toil, outspread beneath some large indifferent gaze, impartial witness to our joy and bale, our prostrate soul bore the awakening ray. Here too, the vision and prophetic gleam lit into miracles common, meaningless shapes. Then the divine afflatus spent withdrew unwanted, fading from the mortal's brain. According to that, he seems to say that a ray of knowledge, of light, of truth came down upon earth and was so badly received, transformed in such a commonplace thing that simply it will do. This ray from above changed into prophetic gleam, changed into miracles, even the most common meaningless shapes. But then, finding no response, it withdrew, unwanted, fading. Many times this happened before it could come and stay. At least something like a response was needed to keep it, and it came many times, waking up the smallest thing, and then having no sufficient response, it withdrew. Then long periods of preparation, slow, dull preparation. Then another time, an attempt to descend a ray, and things all lit up and suddenly they seem marvelous. But so many times they fell back in their usual, normal, meaningless way. But now This time there is a response. Something seems ready, and we will witness the beginning of the change. So we have only to be attentive, to be awake, to look, and we shall see the beginning of things. Something is beginning to change in the world. And as he says, when it is like that, even the smallest thing becomes a living miracle.